track review.
Howdy. Hey everyone, Anthony Daytano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a track review. We're going to talk about the new Kanye single over here all day. Who is Kanye West? Why, he's just one of the biggest rappers out there right now, and according to his own words, a god. And if not that, he is definitely one of the most creative and unpredictable names in mainstream hip-hop today. And personally, I love his early output. Much more of a fan of his first three records than I have been a fan of his last three records. I just haven't been able to follow him completely on his latest projects. And each of these three records had tracks and moments that I loved, Heartless and Power. But these records have also had plenty of moments that I just outright could not stand. And I feel like when Kanye came out, when he dropped in the early 2000s and really hit it big, he had a defined style that he could depend on to bring him through a consistent quality project. And now that he's really been trying new things on these latest albums, I think he's taking a lot of risks, and just sometimes there is a payoff. I haven't really been entirely encouraged by some of the latest tracks and performances to come out, such as the soul-sapped via auto-tune only one, or the kind of boring Wolves with Vic Mensa, as well as the horrific collaboration with Rihanna and Paul McCartney for 5 seconds. Still though, he had a recent performance at the Brit Awards of this new single, All Day, which was huge. There were like 1 million people on the stage, and he had flamethrowers. But also the incredibly loud banger beat that was playing in the background as Kanye was legitimately spitting on this track and going absolutely insane, just screaming his brains out. To me, this track was the viscera and the aggression and just that feeling of intensity, this live performance, that I think a lot of songs, a lot of studio tracks on Yeezus hoped or wished they were. And now, not too long after, we're sitting here with this studio version of All Day. And while I do like this new single here, I do like this new track, it's always kind of weird when, I guess, the live version of a song or the live performance of a track feels like it's a step ahead of the studio version. All Day is not quite the banger that the live performance forecasted it to be, but still, this song does have me salivating more for Kanye's next record than Black Skinhead did when it was first performed live. The track kicks off with these buzzing harmonies, which over the past few years have been incorporated into many a Kanye song. It's kind of become a trademark for him as of late. There's heavy hits of bass on this track, boom, boom, with some ethereal hanging in the background that sort of introduce themselves, become more prominent as the verses click along. Some sweet keyboard chords on this track too. They're pulsating very nicely. They have a nice kind of... I love how we have some trap influenced drums and hi-hats on this track, but they're very sparse. You know, it's not like they're incessant, they're not constantly making noise. Kanye really peppers this track with these rhythms in a really interesting way. I do dig the instrumental on this thing a lot. Theophilus London's vocal contribution is great. There's a moment in the track where Paul McCartney sort of comes in out of nowhere with some acoustic guitar strumming and some whistling. There are a few cool beat change-ups in the middle of the song, and there's kind of a really weird experimental ending with some fudge synth chords and some really awful singing that kind of ends the track off. It feels like a legitimately weird moment. As far as what the song is trying to do lyrically, Kanye's lyrics have a pretty simple and straightforward delivery on here. We have Kanye bawling and being at the mall. He's also high and talking about how long it took him to get this fly. And what was that time period? What was that length of time that we're talking about? All day. While what Kanye is doing on this track might be a little shallow, it is Kanye. We're not looking for, you know, some kind of deep perceptions on anything, other than maybe his personal life, which he has been happy to give us on numerous songs, but this song isn't really that introspective or anything like that. But Kanye is legitimately rapping on this track, which feels like a very welcome change of pace from what he was doing on Yeezus, which was a little over the top, occasionally kind of ridiculous, maybe even obnoxious. The line lines where he references Farrakhan and talks about being in the motherfucking house. Or this other line where he's talking about people being in his way. This is Kanye showing his sense of humor, his cleverness. I especially love the way he changes up his flow when he's talking about the Yeezy going up on eBay. Overall, it's a well put together track with a decent beat. Not Kanye's best lyrics, but the flow is there. The all day refrain is catchy enough. I wish it was a little more explosive. And while I do like it, it doesn't necessarily beg for me to come back and listen to it again, at least not right now. Maybe it'll sound a little better within the context of Kanye's next record, but, who knows. And those are my thoughts on this track. Transition, if you've given this track a listen, what did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? What do you think I should review next?